Hi, I'm Adri Toma, and I'm making this video about Eternal Return YouTube videos. Pretty meta, but I think it can help a lot of people out there, so let's get into it. Why make this video? I get asked for advice often on YouTube stuff, especially in the Eternal Return space, so hopefully this is a video that I can point people towards. I love the behind the scenes content, so I assume others might like videos like this too. And then I feel like this might be a contribution towards the herbs community. Eternal Return and their community has given a lot to me this last year. I've gotten to work with companies like Genji. I've gotten to have my trips paid for to be flown out to Dallas for conventions and other cool stuff like that, and just like meeting other creators, and hopefully this is something that can essentially give back. So why should you make ER YouTube videos? One, it's fun. It's a good time. I wouldn't do this if I didn't have fun, and I don't think you should either. Two, it grows your Twitch stream. If you like streaming like me, it's a lot more fun when you're going from like 5 to 10 viewers to streaming to like 50 to 100 viewers. It's a lot more entertaining. It's a lot more fun. You have a lot more people to talk to, so that's another reason to do it. And then the third, and my favorite, is that it grows the Eternal Returns player base. This again feels like another way to give back to the game that has given a lot to us. But at the end of the day, there's no obligation to do this. It's just a video game. It's a company. Like, if you enjoy playing, like, play it. If you don't, don't. So just as a little context, I'm going to tell you who I am, trying to ego stroke the least amount possible. This just gives a little context leading into the rest of the video. If you want to skip this part, it's definitely not essential. So I started off with actually a different channel. It was called The Clark Knight. I did a bunch of different content. I started off on random like Overwatch, like maybe Nintendo games here and there. It was just a mixed bag, and I eventually settled on Pokemon. I only had like 500 some subscribers after 6 years on the channel. And yeah, this is kind of what the channel looked like. So the content ranged from things like, oh, here's a Stardew Valley farm tour, to this like amazing new Pokemon indie game. And you can tell I had different levels of success with different kind of content, and I learned from this channel, and a lot of the things I'm going to talk about in this video stem from things that I learned in like these hundreds of videos that I uploaded to this channel. So then I got to Eternal Return. Yes. My first video I uploaded was So You Want to Main Adriana in Eternal Return. I never made this channel in like hopes that it'd gain any traction. It was just something I did for fun, just like a little side project, because I loved Adriana, but there wasn't a ton of content for her specifically at the time. And then, what do you know, after the first month, it was 4 subscribers, 200 views, I started uploading more the second month. Just kind of things that I was having fun with, a lot of Adriana related content, and then some other cool things as well. And what do you know, I 7-tupled the viewership, and I had 23 subscribers. So pretty cool. And then it kept going, it kept snowballing. So the next period, I ended up having 3K viewers, 70 subscribers, which is when it started to snowball. And what really happens with YouTube channels is if you have like consistency on your channel, once it like starts picking up steam, it's going to keep picking up steam. As you can see in the next month, it really got going. And then in about November of the same year, it really took off with some of my big uploads, like the new player experience. I had a few guides that really popped off, and then some of my Evergreen content carried a lot of the weight as well. So 1.5 years later, we're sitting at about 85 videos, 80 of them being Eternal Return. And then a little more than 500,000 views, which again is a bit of an ego stroke, but at the same time it's just giving me some context to what you can expect making like Eternal Return specific content. And is YouTube luck? I'm gonna leave this video in the description. I think a lot of people are under the impression YouTube is all luck, and I feel very different. I think YouTube is 90% skill, maybe 10% luck. And I think this video just does a really good job of like demonstrating that, and if you're not convinced, give it a look. So why do people fail? The number one reason I think is they don't start. I think I've talked to maybe 20 or 30 people about starting a YouTube channel for Eternal Return, and maybe 5 people have actually made a video. And a few of them very successful videos, very promising channels. So I'm happy about that. Another one is they just post whatever. Maybe it's like a 2-hour VOD. Maybe it's just them shooting the shit for like 40 minutes. Like, it needs to be very curated content. It can't just be whatever you feel like. And then 3 is they don't understand the macro. I think this was like a good Eternal Return comparison. If you don't understand a lot of the moving parts, you're not going to essentially win the game in Eternal Return. And that same concept follows over to YouTube, and this pretty much whole video is going to be dedicated to that macro. So what videos do you make? So what video do I make is the question you should be asking yourself. Number one, it needs to have some type of value, whether it is entertaining, whether it is educational, or some other value that you can give to the viewer. Something that they'll pretty much want to watch the whole video all the way through and they'll be satisfied. So I'd look at who you watch. What creators do you watch, and how can you take what they do and apply that to Eternal Return? I think that's a good place to start. If you don't enjoy watching it, you should delete it. This is something I've done many a times. If I make a YouTube video, I watch it through and I don't enjoy watching it, I typically delete it. This is the case for videos that I want to be entertaining. Maybe if it's an educational video, I won't feel the same way. But you should like watching your own shit. That's like number one rule. That brings me to the yoink. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need like a crazy new idea. YouTube is ripe with ideas that have worked for other people. So as you can see, like, I had an idea for a 1v1 in Eternal Return, and I pretty much just copied the thumbnail title from Disguised Toast and used my own premise in the video. Pretty straightforward. And then also, you can have maybe more original content. Like, I really like this series that I have playing with the VAs from Eternal Return. And say one video people really like, you can yoink your own shit and just continue to make what's working, right? So I think there's plenty of ideas to explore in Eternal Return that you can yoink from other games. So I don't think there's a huge channel right now for Eternal Return lore. I think that's something that would be really interesting. I could see myself on a stream watching lore videos in between queues. A lot of pro players are in the Eternal Return community. I think if you're in a tournament, that's a perfect opportunity to make a video. You can do it talking about the meta. Really, it should be pretty easy for like pro players to make videos because people want to hear your insight on the game. And then say you're just like me, pretty average at the game, and you wanna just play with your friends on stream. How do I make videos out of that? Well, people do it. I watch Sunny Splosion, and she does that with League videos. So maybe take that kind of format, edit in that kind of way, and make it entertaining. Also, I'd like to point out there's channels like the Pro Gameplay from Eternal Return. This was a channel that used to run 8 months ago. They don't make videos anymore, but you can make a channel like this, right? It got a lot of viewership just because people wanted to see like pro gameplay. You can just rip VODs and put them up. But I will note, like, as a thing to caution you, is I talked about how people will go from your YouTube channel to your Twitch stream. A lot of people who subscribe to content like this aren't there for you, they're there for the gameplay, right? So not as many people are going to jump over to your Twitch stream. And then one other idea I had, dude, I feel like I'd watch the hell out of a video like this. I'm tired of reading the patch notes. Just give me a little quick 5-minute video for me to watch on stream so I know what to expect. I used to watch this shit all the time for League of Legends. I think it would do well for Eternal Return. So what makes people watch? Number 1, content. Number 2, thumbnail and title. And then number 3, SEO. I think that's a good ranking. Like, I think content is the most important. No matter how good the thumbnail or title is, if the video is boring or the video is just not worth watching, it's not going to do well. So I wanted to talk about like kind of how I look at content. I try to make the intro really quick. Things got to be snappy. Like if you drag on a lot of the time, like kind of how I'm doing this video, but on my main channel, I try to make things quick. If you drag on most of the time, it's really tough. It's really tough. Like people are gonna click off. Like someone's attention span is like a very valuable thing. I like to put stakes at the beginning of the video. Like this is what I'm gonna do in this video, and if I don't accomplish X, then I have to do Y at the end of the video. Or I aim to accomplish X, let's see if we do it. So it gives a person a reason to watch all the way through. So I just want to look at one of my videos. This is what's next for Eternal Return. For the first 19 seconds, I talk about what the video is going to be about. Hey, there was a dev stream, they talked about X, Y, and Z, and I'm gonna go over all that. And then I made it a 6-minute video, so it's very choppy, boom, boom, boom. They talked about the last season, and I'm not even a minute through the video, and that was a full season of Eternal Return. Escaping, the biggest thing that season. I actually believe I had someone else talk about this mechanic. I had Nico do it for me, and he sent me a 2-minute long video for talking about Eternal Return's escaping. And I was like, can we chop this down to about 40 seconds? And we are able to do it that way. Because things need to move quick. You can't drag. And then along that, we're just talking about everything. It just paces really well. I have a lot of images to mix things up. I like to use GIFs in my videos just because it helps like kind of keep people's attention. Like, let's watch. Return is an unknown. See, I 3 seconds in, I have a GIF because I'm like, okay, I don't want the viewer to get bored. For a lot of people, you have gameplay in the background, just something for someone to look at, another GIF. But they had a 3-hour dev, and then you have a kill. So meanwhile, I'm talking. It's not sensory overload, but it's a lot of things going on. I also have music in the videos that I like to chop up so it kind of carries the video along. Hopefully that's a good explanation of like how I look at content. Alright, so let's talk about thumbnails. I think faces like catch the eye really well. I think these are some of the best ones I've done. Obviously I've mixed it up, but I like to have a bit of a theme where I have the same kind of text, the same kind of thumbnail, so people know that they're clicking on an Adriutoma video. And then along with like titles also, I want it to be something that interests them. Hardest character in Eternal Return, and then you see the pain and you're like, oh, this character sounds like insane. Especially like if you don't know much about Eternal Return, you're probably gonna click this. Eternal Return asked me to make this guide. It's like, ooh, why did they ask you to make that? And then like you see the crash course and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get all the information I need in 6 minutes. It's gonna be perfect. And then I Can Fix Her, falling in love with the worst character in Eternal Return. You're like, oh, why is she the worst character? I can fix her. What? Like, I don't know. It's just, I think these are good thumbnails. And then I took some bad thumbnails. This was one of the first videos I ever made on my old channel. You can see the text is really hard to read. Like, there's a lot going on. It's really didn't do that well. And then for this one, I don't think I kept the consistency. Like, I tried a different color text, and I don't think people really cared about the skins, so that's why that video didn't do too well. And then I would like to point out, see this like timestamp in the corner? Make sure your text isn't covered by that. You learn that the hard way. So let's talk about SEO. So SEO is search engine optimization. So these are things that will help you with like getting into the eternal return algorithm. And there's like different algorithms. There's like a main algorithm and an eternal return algorithm. The eternal return algorithm mostly serves the videos to people who've played or are interested in this kind of content. For the most part, you get 3 hashtags, right? The one that matters is eternal return. You just just need that one in there. The other 2 are more experimental. Maybe if there was one specific character in the video, you could go eternal return Tazia and then hashtag Tazia, and people searching for that character might get that. I also have eternal return in the description. I think that's pretty important. Pretty much you're just signaling to YouTube this is an eternal return video, and you also have it in the title. So this is my last video, just a little insider baseball on the back end. So YouTube recommendations needs to be the majority of your viewership. I think that's when you know you're plugged into the algorithm, right? At first, most of your traffic is going to come from YouTube search or external. And I'll tell you guys kind of how to get plugged into these 2. But for the YouTube recommendations, like this is like how you know you're in the algorithm. So the algorithm, it goes off of watch time and how clickable your video is. So the clickable part is with your thumbnail and stuff, but even if your thumbnail is good and people click through and then your watch time is dog shit, like the content in the video isn't good, YouTube won't recommend it. They'll be like, oh, this is a bait. So clickbait really isn't as powerful as it used to be. And then things will just kind of snowball over time. Your old videos that you did will start getting plugged into the algorithm, which I think is really cool. So every video you do is worth making. It's not like a Twitch stream where you do the stream, you go offline, and then there's no discoverability at all for it. So yeah, that's why the content in the video needs to be keeping the viewer's attention. So I like to check my search 2 different ways. The first way is just go incognito window, so you don't have any cookies or anything like that, because they won't serve you your own videos on your own account, and your own account is predisposed towards videos you've already watched before too. So I go to an incognito window, search up eternal return, and see if I show up every time I do a video. I show up second, just behind an ad. There's no way to get ahead of ads or anything, but that's how you know you're doing well for that search term, especially starting off. Maybe I'd look up eternal return Adriana and I'd see if my video for the guide would pop up, and that's how people would find my channel. You can also do hashtag eternal return to see how your SEO does, again on an incognito tab. A lot of channels will have like more authority if they're bigger. So like this XQC video is always going to be up here even though it's 2 years old. Channels like Stan's, it's like a bigger channel, so it's gonna rank up here as well. And then me and Superior up here, because we're kind of playing for the SEO value. See, he does it really well. He has a nice thumbnail. He has eternal return in the title. Yeah, there's nothing else I can say about that. So if it's a good video, promote it. This is going to talk about the external part of getting that audience. So getting views on your videos outside of YouTube. So you can go to the Eternal Return subreddit and you can post your video in here. I do it for all the videos that I make. Honestly, for this specific, like post your ER content here, I don't think too many people check it. I looked at my analytics once for a video and it was like 5 to 10 views from this max, but that's a good place to start out. Also, maybe you do a character specific video. You could go to the character cord and post it there. Or maybe there's other discords that you can look at. You can also post it on the Eternal Return Reddit. It's not the most active Reddit, but at the same time, it's not the smallest Reddit either. So if you have a good video and it's a good post, you'll get traction on it. So I thought this provided a lot of value to some of the people in the Eternal Return Reddit. The dev stream was 2 hours, so here's like a little quick TLDR 8-minute summary. Hope you find it helpful. It seems 94% of people did, 4 people actually shared it, which is like super rare, and this post on Reddit had 4,000 people look at it. So you can see why this would be valuable, especially to a new channel, to get that video the like traction it needs. I will make a note that you need to be very careful posting to Reddit. They'll rip you apart if it's nothing useful, if it's nothing good. Reddit's pretty ruthless. Also, along with Discord, this applies to Discord as well, you need to be a part of the community. You need to be already posting other stuff. You need to be kind of established. So what I did before I posted any videos to the Eternal Return Reddit is I'd make things like this little meme here. This was one of the first things I ever posted. Gold players giving advice. It's probably bad advice, but it's free. 335 upvotes. One of the highest posts on the Reddit. I made a little fan cam that I threw up there. It was a little cringe. And then I did a dev stream feedback, just letting people know, like, hey, I saw a lot of people here quit the game. If you have complaints about the game, fill out this form. I think you just got to be really good at reading the room when posting stuff on Reddit and just making sure it's authentic, that you're actually a part of that community and not like, hey, I just want to plug my shit. So let me talk about Twitch versus YouTube real quick. I think this is something that comes up a lot. I talked about before how the stream is just gone forever. And your YouTube videos, people can always go back and see. And then there is actually a larger audience on YouTube. I hear a lot of people saying like, yeah, YouTube just has no Eternal Return audience. Well, I'm like, that might like be relatively true compared to other games, but it has a bigger audience on YouTube than Twitch. When it comes to streaming, obviously more people stream on Twitch than YouTube Live for Eternal Return, but you just have a lot more people on YouTube in general, which helps. And then I think YouTube content is better, and maybe this triggers people when I say this, but I'd rather watch like a 5-minute, like well-tailored like video than like a 2-hour stream where something hype happens maybe once an hour, you know? And I think you can just get people invested into your channel a lot better on YouTube, where you can kind of force cool stuff to happen rather than wait for it to happen over like a 3-hour period. So let's talk about evergreen content. So I think this is one of the things that applies to Eternal Return the most, is that a lot of content you can make for Eternal Return gets outdated and people don't want to watch it anymore, right? So I try to make videos like Estelle's the weirdest character in Eternal Return, rather than how to play Estelle and then to have that outdated, right? I do things like I traveled 1,000 miles for this game of Eternal Return. That is going to be relevant no matter what changes happen in the game, right? And then my first squad tournament was ... interesting. Yeah, it's just, it's going to stay relevant, and these videos people will go back to. They'll see one of your new videos and then they'll be like, oh, what else is on this channel? They'll go back through the channel and they'll see this stuff, and this is what they'll click on. What they won't click on is what expires. These videos get pretty much no views anymore. And I don't take them down because there's reasons I do them, right? So the future of Eternal Return. This got a ton of views when I released it, because it's super nice to get like a cute little compact form of the dev stream. I think that's really nice. So I still do these just kind of as like a little service, but they die. These videos die. They're not great for the channel, but I like doing them. And then things like builds. These builds expire really fast. A lot of guides do. But again, guides are important for the community. Trying to make them more generalized is something I've worked on. And yeah, guides are a tough one. And then an Eternal Return Christmas. These kind of videos are more like passion projects that are like, well, this is seasonal. Someone's not going to watch this in the summer, right? So you got to keep that in mind. You want it to be something that they can always go back towards. So just a little miscellaneous tech, because I know people will ask this in the comments. So I edit in Sony Vegas. I get this question a lot. What do you edit with? I pay for Sony Vegas because I used to edit on the old program, which rendered stuff in 720, which took 20 minutes. Now, with the upgraded version of Sony Vegas, I render in 4K, and I use 2pass, which renders in 2 hours. So pretty much I render it twice through in 4K. My computer's very mid. You can edit on laptops. Like, you don't need a high-tech setup. I will say, if you don't want to pay for anything, and you're not okay with 720, I would go with DaVinci. I heard it's a very good program for free. So how does it grow the game? So this is a good question. I would say some videos just pop off and they get exposed to people that have never even heard the game before. Probably out of my 80 videos, maybe like 5 to 8 videos have probably gotten out of the Eternal Return algorithm and sent into just like the regular algorithm for people who are just interested in games, not even people interested in Eternal Return. What's going to happen is the first day, it'll just be doing its normal thing, and then all of a sudden it's gonna hit the algorithm and get 7,000 views in an hour or like over the span of like 3 hours, which is insane to watch. And then eventually YouTube recognizes like, well, this is very niche, let's shoot this back down. We don't need to keep recognizing or recommending this to people, because your click rate will get worse the more broad YouTube recommends it. But for this video, probably like 40 of these 49 subscribers were people who had never heard of Eternal Return, that were all of a sudden like, whoa, this is a cool game, let me try it. So that's a plus 40 to the community, which is kind of crazy to think about. Here's a few comments from that video. You're gonna expect stuff like this, like, no idea what this game is, but it looks awesome. What is this game? Man, I don't play Eternal Return. Algorithm, YouTube led me to this video, and so on, right? Very cool to see. Very rewarding. It's like a very tangible, like, hey, I'm plus oneing the game. And then there's also the aspect of retaining old players who subscribe to your YouTube channel, right? I put out the pretty much most recent video that I had on my channel, and people were like, hey, this stuff looks cool. I can't wait for season 10. This update gives me a good reason to come back to the game. So people who used to watch you in the past, you might bring back to the game, and having this YouTube content keeps them in this like Eternal Return sphere. It keeps them informed, and it keeps Eternal Return in the back of their mind. So it also helps with retention. So one thing I wanted to talk about real quick was YouTube Shorts. You get a lot of views on them, not much interaction, and from what I've seen, they don't really grow your channel all that much. They're easy and quick, so they're not much of a commitment. And also, you should using them to point people towards your main videos. If you have a full YouTube channel of shorts, you're probably not going to see too many people from your YouTube channel hopping over to your Twitch stream or really interacting with you too much out of just the video that they clicked on. But if you have a YouTube like video on the channel that relates to these shorts that is enticing, they might click on this, click on your channel, then click on that video, and it's kind of like a marketing funnel, so to speak. But again, very quick and easy, so they're worth doing. I made a second channel for them just to kind of experiment and play around, but you can do it on your main channel now that they have the separate shorts tab. I think that's fine. So is there an ER ceiling? And I'm going to say yes, there's a soft cap in the ER algorithm. Viewership corresponds with how the game's doing. So if you see the game declining in players, you're going to see your videos declining in viewers, which is pretty discouraging sometimes, I'm not going to lie. And then other content won't perform well. So say you're doing a bunch of Eternal Return shit, but all of a sudden you're like, I want to do a Stardew Valley video. That video is not going to do well. People are subscribed to your channel for you, but also a lot of people are going to be subscribed for you playing that game. So it's tough. It's tough. You're kind of pigeonholing yourself in temporarily. And when I say temporarily, I'm saying that because you can branch out to other games, especially tangential games. I tried to do it with with Omega Strikers when that came out. For a full week, I posted a video every day, and that was a very successful week. But after that week, I got super burnt out on the game. And then once I came back, the game was pretty much dead. So I think to myself, if I was in like a Pokemon Unite meta like a year back from this, and I tried to transition to that game, my channel would probably look something like this. But again, that's like super foresight. You have to enjoy the game you're playing. I really enjoy Eternal Return. That's why I make content on it. I thought I really enjoyed Omega Strikers. It turns out it was something that I enjoyed for a short period of time and got burnt out on. I think one thing that I learned from that experience is you got to be very sure that it's going to be a game you enjoy. And again, if you already enjoy Eternal Return, there's not much risk of starting up a YouTube channel for that. And then let's talk about like just the numbers real quick for Eternal Return. I talked about how it fluctuates with your viewership with the player base. And one major thing is I wish I was making videos down here in December of 2020, because look at this player base. This is what they want to maintain. This is what their goal is. Right now we're obviously not there, but bear in mind there's going to be a big boom of new players in July, because that's going to be the official release of Eternal Return. So essentially right now you're not making videos to get a ton of views on them. You're making videos to kind of set your YouTube channel up in a good spot that YouTube recognizes it as like a Eternal Return channel, as a expert on Eternal Return, so to say, so that it'll feed you when there's a ton of Eternal Return traffic in July. Even if it's like a 1 in 10 chance that the game does retain those players, it's a 1 in 10 chance that your channel does really well, right? So yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys at release. Hopefully this wasn't too bad. I've never made a video this long for Eternal Return, so hopefully it wasn't too bad to sit through me just like rambling on and on and on. But I thought this might be helpful for some people who need some Eternal Return like video guidance. These are just my thoughts. I'm sure I have a lot more to say. I do this a lot. I love making these videos, and I hopefully you guys enjoy too. But yeah, that's all. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching.